Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're diving straight into a really fascinating blueprint for the future of our modern decentralized electric grid. I think we all know the grid is changing, right? But securing it for the future requires some incredibly cutting-edge technology. So we're going to explore how researchers are proposing this ingenious combination of artificial intelligence and blockchain to basically keep our lights on and our energy green.
But first, this brings us to a really counterintuitive question. Can clean energy actually break the grid? It's what researchers are calling the green grid paradox. Now, on one hand, the environmental benefits of renewable energy and distributed energy resources, like those solar panels on your roof, they're absolutely amazing. But on the other hand, they create a massive headache for grid stability. The rapid spread of all these small-scale energy suppliers introduces wild supply and demand imbalances, and that causes dangerous voltage fluctuations that literally threaten the baseline stability we need for our daily lives and our economy.
Okay, let's dive into this. The root of this entire fundamental shift really comes down to a single new concept, and that is the prosumer. Everyday people and businesses are transforming from mere consumers into prosumers. This means you aren't just taking from the grid anymore, you're producing energy too via distributed units like solar. And this fundamentally alters traditional grid flows. It's shifting the electric grid from a simple one-way street into a highly complex, bidirectional trading network. To really grasp the scale of this transformation, think about how the systems compare. The traditional grid is hierarchical and fossil fuel driven. It's kind of like a marching band following one central command, right? Moving energy in a strict, one-way centralized flow from a giant power plant directly to your home. But the modern local energy market, it's highly dynamic, it's renewable, and heavily reliant on decentralized peer-to-peer trading. It acts a lot more like a chaotic jazz ensemble of solar panels, batteries, and electric vehicles, all playing at once. And right now, that jazz ensemble desperately needs a new, invisible conductor.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the green grid paradox, the evolution of energy markets, a proposed three-part blueprint, the smart endpoint, something called proof of prediction, and finally, how we go about securing the future grid. All right, part one, the green grid paradox and the instability we get from renewables.
So the reality here is that a really high penetration of renewable resources actually causes critical grid volatility. While solar and wind are fantastic for the planet, for sure, their intermittent nature means the sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow. Because our grid requires an absolute real-time balance between supply and demand to function safely, this intermittency is a huge hurdle. When you mix flexible loads with unpredictable generation, you get uncertainty. And uncertainty is the ultimate enemy of grid stability.
Moving on to part two, evolution of energy markets and our past fixes. The energy industry has basically gone through a few distinct stages trying to manage these new decentralized trades. In stage one, back around 2016, we saw initial peer-to-peer platforms pop up, like the Brooklyn microgrid or early versions of Power Ledger. Now, these were great because they proved decentralized trading was possible, but they were essentially just ledgers. They totally lacked the smart, real-time dynamic feedback required to actually keep the grid stable. Then stage two brought in smart meter integration to try and improve demand-side management. But those projects faced severe scalability limits and lacked macro-level regulation. Which brings us to stage three, the researchers' newly proposed framework for a fully self-regulating sustainable grid infrastructure.
Which brings us nicely to part three, a three-part blueprint for the stage three grid. To ground these abstract concepts, we really need to know exactly who is playing in this market and the physical tools they're using. The primary actors are the prosumers and consumers. Overseeing them, you have the local power distributor, who is shifting from being a central energy provider into more of a grid regulator role. You also have the distributed system operator managing the physical infrastructure, like the smart meters. On the hardware side, you've got household assets like your washing machine, which, let's face it, usually just eats your socks, but is now about to help balance the national grid. You've also got decentralized batteries and electric vehicles, which, if you think about it, are essentially just giant mobile batteries that can be plugged in to stabilize the network.
So the crucial point is how all these actors and assets are actually connected. The blueprint proposes three structural components. First up, the endpoint mini-server, or EMS, which is placed in every single home for local device control. Second, the blockchain trading platform, which offloads trading responsibilities to a secure, decentralized peer-to-peer network. And third, the local energy market management platform, acting as the sort of global coordinator overseeing the whole shebang. Let's look closer at part four, the smart endpoint, where AI meets hardware.
What is genuinely brilliant about this endpoint mini-server architecture is that it upgrades existing homes without massive hardware replacement costs. It retains your legacy smart meter, saving a ton of money, but adds a smart meter controller on top of it to generate verifiable data proofs. The real magic, though, that is the integration of a local AI agent. This AI uses your historical data to accurately predict your daily energy production and consumption. Based on that forecast, a transaction controller automatically submits buy or sell bids to the blockchain at regular intervals. It basically grants your home localized autonomy to trade energy entirely on its own.
And this system simulator brilliantly illustrates how all that rigorous academic math and logic works in practice. When your local AI detects that you have less instant consumption than you predicted, meaning you have a temporary energy surplus, the system can automatically route that power to charge your local battery. Then, via smart contracts on the blockchain, buyers and sellers are matched, and markets are cleared completely automatically. It's just this constant automated balancing act happening quietly in the background of your daily life.
All right, part 5, proof of prediction. This is really the secret sauce.
Here is the massive aha moment of the research. They're proposing a brand new consensus mechanism called proof of prediction, or POD. Instead of just trading energy randomly, users are rewarded with tokens specifically for accurately matching their actual energy usage to what their AI predicted they would use. It completely and elegantly aligns blockchain economic incentives with the physical need for grid forecasting. Let's walk through what this daily cycle actually looks like. At the start of the day, your local AI forecasts your energy usage and production. That prediction is immediately locked into your personal identity smart contract on the blockchain. Then, you just go about your day. At the end of the day, your smart meter verifies your actual usage, and the system compares your morning prediction to your evening reality. The prosumer who is the most accurate overall is elected as the block proposer for the next cycle and earns token rewards. By giving actual economic rewards for predictability, the system encourages users and their automated smart devices to stick to their energy forecasts. It completely solves the intermittent volatility problem of green energy.
Finally, part 6, securing the future grid, focusing on privacy and macro control.
Now, you might be wondering, if all my home energy data is sitting on a public blockchain, isn't my privacy totally at risk? It's a fair question. But the researchers solved this using advanced cryptography, specifically zero-knowledge proofs. This ensures that your data is completely verifiable by the network without ever revealing your raw personal energy habits to the public. Your actual unencrypted home energy data is only shared securely with the distributed system operator. The public blockchain only sees cryptographic proof that your numbers add up, preserving your total privacy in an anonymous environment.
Let's move on and see how this builds into the final macro-level safety net, the local energy market management platform. Because even with AI and blockchain optimizing everything locally, sometimes a whole city might face a critical imbalance, like say an unexpected massive heat wave. This platform, maintained jointly by the grid operators, acts as a global information hub. If the local peer-to-peer market fails to balance itself, this platform steps in. It can procure external electricity from the broader macro grid during severe shortages, or it can export excess electricity during periods of extreme surplus. And importantly, by establishing this as a joint infrastructure hub, it prevents any single third-party corporation from swooping in and monopolizing your local energy market.
All of this comes together to support a highly optimistic conclusion from the researchers. By combining endpoint self-control through AI, distributed regulation through blockchain tokens, and global coordination through a centralized management platform, this blueprint actually succeeds in resolving the green energy paradox. In the researchers' own words, this system is about, quote, laying the solid foundation for a more sustainable and resilient next-generation energy trading infrastructure. As we transition towards smarter cities and way higher renewable energy use, the centralized power structures of the past are making way for decentralized networks, where you are the key player. The technology literally exists right now to upgrade our grids without having to tear them all down, turning everyday appliances into active, money-saving participants in a global energy market. So I'll leave you with this to think about. As these local energy markets start coming online, what role will your home play in the next generation energy grid? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.